This meeting is presented via Zoom. It is not appropriate for audience members to interrupt board business or ask questions during the meeting. Agenda items will be addressed as listed in the agenda. In case of emergency, please exit the room using the exit closest to you. Brings us to 1.04, our vision and mission statement. Pat, would you mind reading? I'm sorry, I shouldn't say Pat. Thanks. Vision and mission statements. Thank you.
Sure. Vision, our community inspires and prepares each student to thrive. Mission, in connection with our community, the Sequim School District empowers staff to inspire hope and provide flexible, innovative learning opportunities in a safe and respectful environment so each student thrives.
Thank you. That takes us to 1.05, the acknowledgement of the land we stand on. We acknowledge the land we stand on. The Sequim School District administrative and school buildings sit on the ancestral land of the S'Klallam people. While the S'Klallam traditionally come from one nation, history has led to the formation of three sovereign S'Klallam tribal governments: Lower Elwha S'Klallam Tribe, Jamestown S'Klallam Tribe, Port Angeles S'Klallam Tribe. The district's primary partnership is with the Jamestown S'Klallam Tribe. Today, the tribe and district share a partnership that includes official consultation on programs and funding changes that may directly affect American Indian and Alaska Native students, as well as holistic service planning for students to remain successful in their educational journeys. And that will take us to approval of our minutes, agenda, and consent agenda, although we do have a change on our consent agenda to remove Zane Lothborn from the consent agenda. Any objections to that? No. Okay. So do we have any objections to the approval of our agenda, consent agenda, and minutes as modified? Hearing no objections, we'll consider those approved. And that will take us to, looks like 5.01, public comments. If we have anyone for public comments. Oh, yes. Sorry about that. If you're attending virtually and you'd like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand feature. You should do so now. No in person, no virtual. Okay, we'll consider public comments closed, and that'll take us to we don't have our student board. They're excused until school session, so we'll move us to 7.01, finance and enrollment reports.
Thank you, Director Roca. This evening, I am bringing to this body the budget status report for July. This is a requirement of our Washington Administrative Code. The enrollment numbers have not changed since school let out in June, but because they are the driving force behind our funding, we think it's important to keep it ever before us. And here on this chart, we have a 9-year comparison of our enrollment. This is a little bit more detailed month by month comparison over the past 3 years. In this report, we review each of the 5 funds in which the district transactions are recorded, and we will start with the general fund. We have a chart here that reflects a 3-year revenue trend for July, this time of the year, comparing each of the past 3 Julys. Of the column to the far right compares 2023 to 2024, the percentage difference. Same chart for our expenditures, comparing the last 3 years. This is our expenditure detail year to date, showing overall we have spent 96.6% of our budget for this year, with 1 month left to go. And this is the full financial summary for the month of July. we can take a look at our fund balance trend chart for the past 5 years. This is a more detailed month-to-month comparison over the past 3 years. And then we can look at this one more time as a slightly different metric. This is the fund balance as a percent. So as you can see, we're currently sitting at 4%. The board has a target of 4 to 6% to end the year, so we're hopeful. All right, moving on to our Associated Student Body Fund. We have our financial summary, our 5-year trend, our debt service fund, financial summary, 5-year trend, our capital projects fund, the financial summary, the 5-year trend, and finally the transportation vehicle fund, our financial summary, and our 5-year trend. That concludes the budget status report.
Can I
Um,
just ask a question?
Yeah, of
I-
course.
I'm just wondering, is there anything notable in there that you think we should, because it went pretty fast, which is fine with me. But I just want to make sure if there's anything in there that you thought was something that we should take note of, or that was unusual, or, anything like that, that you think we should be paying
Right.
special attention to.
So I feel I jumped into our finances just a couple months ago. So I haven't been tracking it very closely.
Mhm.
I'm not seeing anything that's giving me surprise that I did not expect to see. I am appreciating looking at some of our trends, comparing year to year. Again, I feel like it's tracking where we expected it to be. I really liked seeing that little uptick, that our fund balance is creeping into the range we want it to be. So we made some adjustments earlier this year that helped to get us there. So I'm really pleased to see that. And other than that,
Do we know what the kindergarten enrollment is looking like?
that I don't know.
Okay.
I would just like to share about the finance report. Two things. The fund balance trajectory that Victoria just noted is a very good sign that the financial management that we began in February, that was being tracked and projected month to month, seemed to work. And secondly to that, as we move into next year, we're going to be thinking about quarterly spending limits that we're going to self-impose on our district, and the way that we're spending money. So we're tracking that fund balance with projections out to the end of the year much more regularly. And the ESD is working with us to think about how to best represent that to you. So you'll be hearing more about that. Also to say the expenditures at this point now, we have closed spending in this current funding year, but we will still have bills that come in from services that we've received. And we'll need to continue to track that fund balance right up through October. And we're very hopeful that the encumbrances that we had set forth, some of those might have been a bit higher projected than what we end up spending. So we'll see if that 4% continues to hold true, or if we might eke up into the 4.5% range.
Also excellent job on, because I know with a lot of encouragement from one of our board members and the rest of the board, I think that to be able to take us into where our policy is, what I know it was a lift. It wasn't, that wasn't an easy thing. We weren't trajectory or predicted to hit that. So I think the fact that we are looking at that looks like it's definitely possible at this point, I think is kudos for that.
Yep.
You have anything else on that?
No, I like the presentation. I mean, the format of the presentation is very clear,
I agree.
good information for the board. And I know if between workshops and other sessions, we can get into more detail later on. And that's good, but I enjoy the presentation.
I agree.
I agree. That was very, very nice to see it in that format and to be able to compare it to previous
Right.
years. It gives you
Mhm.
a
See
baseline.
where we are.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you for that feedback.
Well, then I think that takes us to 8.01 Superintendent Nichols' report.
Okay. Well, we have many exciting things that are happening. And of course, we're leading up to the start of school that we're very excited about. So I just want to reiterate that the first day of school this year will be Wednesday, August 28th, if you're in grades 1 through 12. And if you are in kindergarten, we have a start date of Tuesday, September 3rd. It's very exciting to get school underway. I have to say that I know the back to school fair will be occurring at the Boys and Girls Club on Saturday. And that will be from 10 to 1. And we will have a table there for our schools. So we hope that families come on out, come on by, talk with us. We will have school staff that folks can talk to. We will have some information at the table. But then, of course, the Boys and Girls Club will be filled to the brim with resources for families and students, and we look forward to taking advantage of all of those things. So we hope to see you there at the Back to School Fair. And then, of course, the first day of school will be exciting. Leading up to the first day of school, though, we have had 2 ribbon cuttings, and those ribbon cuttings were for new pieces of playground equipment at both Helen Haller Elementary and Gray Wolf Elementary. So at Gray Wolf Elementary, we have the Qantas 2. It is a piece of equipment that students can climb on. It's very interactive, but what's most important to us is that it is also all-inclusive. So it's really designed to be a playground equipment piece that students with all different abilities and developmental spans can be working with and enjoying, and very adaptable. We also have a WeSaw at Gray Wolf Elementary so that we are encouraging kids to work together on playground equipment and enjoy it. And then we have 2 friendship swings. And to go see those, they actually have students who sit facing each other in the swing and go back and forth. And I think it will be a new touch that students will very much enjoy. Over at Helen Haller, the crab trap with the slide winder slide will be very popular. And I just want to say this, our elementary PTA and the PTOs of the past at both Gray Wolf and Helen Haller have always supported playgrounds and keeping them up to date. And it's been 20 years or more since we've had new equipment on the playground. So we're really excited to see that come on in. And the professional installation was led by our facilities department, and we had professional installation done for the decades to come. So very safe, brand new wood chips on both playgrounds. And we'd like to thank Herman Brothers for donating wood chips around our campuses as well. We really do appreciate it. So check it out if you haven't seen it already. Also with facilities, we do have completion of the new track, and it is a beauty. We do have folks who have been out walking on that. We are going to be having a special ribbon cutting designed for the track, but we are going to do that when we have an event, a community-based event where many people can come, and we're in the midst of planning that special event for the fall. So you certainly will receive an invitation when that happens. I would like to say about the track that we are encouraging folks to consider that if they are a community member and they would like to walk on the track, we certainly will be welcoming that. And we may come out with some recommendations about how people could best use the track. Of course, we know that the best types of footwear out there are sneakers, track shoes. We're going to be avoiding anything on the track that could reduce its viability into the next decades. We've seen that with our prior track. So we're going to be keeping bicycles off that, no automobiles. high heels that could pierce the track, all of those things that could be risks, we're going to mitigate for proactively. But we really want people to be able to use it and enjoy it. And I just want to thank the community for supporting capital project levy, because these are the types of outcomes that we're really going to be seeing more and more of. And one other completion we've had with the capital levy projects this year, heat. We have HVAC projects that have been completed across the high school campus at the OPA gym site. We have the smoke and fire detection system that's been completed at 2 schools, the middle school and Helen Haller. We also have the building management systems for those HVAC systems and alarm systems that have gone in. So a hefty summer with a lot to be seen, some of it much more invisible than the track is. So I'll stop there and see if there are any questions or comments about these facilities.
No, I'll just say I attended the ribbon cutting of the playground equipment. The Wii totter that she mentioned is actually a teeter-totter that sits 4 people. So they have to cooperate as in a group of 4. Very cool. Both of the new playground equipment is just amazing. Yeah, I made the comment, it looks space age futuristic, but it's here now. So that makes a big difference. And no, I didn't climb on it because we didn't want to have to call emergency equipment in, but it was tempting. If I was a little kid, well, I saw the little kids' faces that were climbing around on the stuff and they just loved it. So congratulations to the people that put that all together. It was pretty special. And the track, I plan to take a lap on the track soon. I don't know how fast it's going to be, in the Olympic spirit. But it's a beautiful track, and I think people ought to be able to look at it and enjoy it. As a former track coach, I would say, do your walking in the outside lanes, not on the inside lane. I know that sounds silly, but over the years, everybody walking laps on lanes 1 and 2, it wears them down. It really does. So just consideration. And it's a thing, like I said, it's a thing of beauty. Much better to look at and to run on than in the past. So
Yeah, it looks good, and I agree with Superintendent Nichols, and I'm sure the rest of the board. Special thanks to the PTA and the PTO for making that happen, and Herman Brothers for their donation to help with that. I haven't seen it yet. I have seen the track, which looks beautiful. The color's bright. It just brightens up that whole field. It's such a nice addition to us. So it's
I'd
awesome.
like to say thanks to Superintendent Nichols and also to the people at Wenaha and everybody else who's helping us with our capital,
Project.
with our capital projects levy, to be able to pivot and realize that this was a priority that really the community wanted and that students needed. And so to be able to get that elevated and get it actually completed, despite all of the, the materials, issues and how hard it has been to be able to accomplish some of these things. It's just really satisfying to think, gosh, there's something that people talked about it, they raised its profile as an issue that needed attention, and the people who needed to deal with it were responsive, and it actually got done. I just think that's fantastic. So thank you.
Yeah, and one final note, I would say on the Boys and Girls Club, that's from 10 to 1. I would encourage any families that have school-age children to go into that, because they do provide you with the necessary binders and papers and pencils and highlighters and things like that, backpack for students, depending on what grade they're entering. So you get material specific for that grade, which is really, they work in coordination with the district on
It's a
what
great
do teachers
activity.
need, and it's
Yeah.
wonderful. And we've attended every year and gotten our school supplies, and most of the supplies you need are included on that day, free of charge. So it's awesome.
Great. Well, I certainly look forward to seeing many people there, and it's always a treat to get the year kicked off that way. So talking about kicking off the year, we also have had professional development opportunities that have happened this summer. We had an administrator retreat where we looked into Robin Jackson. She is a principal, professional developer who really talks about ways to make sure that you are forwarding strong initiatives in your building that are very responsive to teacher needs and making sure that professional development is being offered in the ways that people need it. And so we actually are out of town right now, and that's why I can't be with you, because we have a team of Sequim School District teachers and administrators at the PLC Institute in Seattle, and we are learning a whole lot. But the three big ideas that we are truly learning more about, and we started last year with PLCs, as you may remember, is really making sure that we have a focus on learning in our school district. We recognize that what student learns is what we need to be accountable to, and how do we do that and make sure that we are developing all of the opportunities for teachers to be able to come together and collaborate, because that collaborative culture is where the expertise truly sits. And we're learning more and more about what we could be doing as ingredients to support teachers in those endeavors, and then really have a results-oriented outcome and outlook in our school district. So we're always tracking where our students are performing, how teachers see the learning is occurring throughout the year, and making sure we're celebrating all of the successes that we're having in our schools. So it's very positive, very motivating and inspiring, and just like to thank the board for really being behind us and making sure this degree of professional development is available to our staff in Sequim School District, and also to our administrative team, so that they can be the best leaders for the schools as well. So we are going to be at this conference through Wednesday, and then we'll be back and start right again on Thursday to have social and emotional learning emphasis in our school district, with all teachers returning. And that is a state required professional learning day. And every building this year is doing something unique, depending on what their initiatives and their emphasis is. So we're looking forward to that as well. I'd like to also let you know about partnerships that have been occurring. Speaking of tribal collaboration, as you open this meeting, I would like to thank the Jamestown S'Klallam Tribe. They hosted both our administrator retreat and our school board retreat this summer on site at their campus. They were very generous to us around space, use, and time. Also, we were able to tour some of their facilities, and as you've seen, wonderful place to be, and good ideas for us to think about how we can come and visit their campus with students. Also, I was invited to Tribal Council on August 9th, and we discussed many aspects about our school district's strategic plan, our funding models that we have, and what our interests could be in collaborating and having partnership with the tribe. And they have invited me to come back again at a time we have to determine, to speak more about potential partnership initiatives. So that is well on its way to helping us in many, many avenues. And one thing that they did discuss with me is that they have grant writing resources that could be very informative for our school district. I just would like to say that our school district is on multiple fronts moving forward significantly with grants. And we just had the Sequim Education Foundation retreat on Sunday. And the Sequim Education Foundation will have a fundraiser in October, late October. And we're really looking forward to teaching grants being one of the sponsorships that attendees might be able to commit to. So we'll make sure that's on your calendar to attend, and we look forward to that collaboration as well. And speaking of successful collaboration, the Economic Development Council of Clallam County, along with Peninsula College, have announced the success of the Recompete grant for $35 million, and Sequim School District and CTE programming will receive benefit of up to $300,000 plus. And that will be for simulators to marry up with the simulator for CDL and other automobile certifications that we have in our CTE center right now. So very exciting partnerships have emerged, and we certainly appreciate it. And then I'm going to end my report this way. Our school buses are going to be running on Wednesday, August 28th, and we need folks to come out to register to ride. So when you click on our school district website, this is the first request that you will encounter, is to register your child or children to ride the school bus, even if you've ridden before. We put out the call for families, and we just thank so many families for responding. We have over 650 responses already, and we look forward to getting everyone registered to ride. This is going to help us with the efficiency of our routes using our new Smart Tag program and software. So thank you very much, and we look forward to school kicking off.
Thank you, Superintendent Nichols. And I believe that'll take us to agenda item 9.01, to approve resolution for the RCO grant and RCO. We start with the motion.
I can introduce this.
Yeah, I thought.
Sure. Thank you.
One of the many grants that we have applied for is a grant to renovate our high school tennis courts. And so the grant requires that the school board pass a resolution that they are aware that this grant has been generated. Number two, that they recognize that we are agreeing to obligations of the Conservation Office from the Department of Washington, State of Washington, and that we are ready with meeting the criteria to accept the grant. And I can tell you that we have met those markers and have met with our grant manager. We are well on our way to a successful application, we hope, and this resolution is part of the package that is required.
Okay, with that, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 01-2024-2025 RCO grant and RCO.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. I guess any other objections? No. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Consider that approved. And that would take us to 9.02 long range facilities planning group discussion. As I'm the only board member that have been attending these meetings. It was Eric and I, but he's obviously not here. So I'll give you an idea of kind of what we've discussed and what we're looking at now. Right now, we are in the phase of determining what is the needs. So we've kind of gone through different exercises to look at what each campus with, Gray Wolf, Helen Holler, our middle school and our high school and OPA, looking at each of them, what they need. I will say if we look at what is needed, the list is very lengthy. So the first step was to find all the needs, and then now we're starting to pare down and prioritize those needs from that focus group, the committee for the long range facilities planning. We haven't had there's no decisions that have been made yet because it's still in that identifying, slowly starting to prioritize as the groups go. And then that information has gone to the Winhog group, and they're going to come back with some, I think, recommendations and options based upon the needs and prioritize. And I think from what the group is looking, I think the most significant thing to pass on to the rest of the board is the group is looking at a multi-phased plan. So instead of just saying, hey, we want to run one bond to do this, we want to look at more of a holistic, comprehensive approach. What does the district need as a whole? And to break it up into pieces with obviously the most important stuff, maybe in phase one, and then looking at maybe at additional phases with, voter approval at later dates. Mm-hmm. So just because there's so much, I mean, I think it's been almost 30 years since we've passed the bond. I think we found out in that meeting. And so a lot of the stuff that would normally be handled in some smaller bonds the preventative maintenance and stuff like that hasn't been done. And we're at a point now where even, we were even looking at trying to replace carpet. We couldn't do it at Helen Holler in the library because there was asbestos underneath. So we couldn't even replace the carpet for a reason. Well, we said, well, let's just put stuff on top of it. Well, then you have doors and transitions that don't work right. So it ended up being that we really, something as simple as carpet, and you wonder, why can't we just do this really cheaply? And that is where these big needs come in at looking at big renovations. So that way we're not just constantly a nickel and diming ourselves for stuff that's not a permanent fix. So they're really, in order to do that, it's looking like there needs to be multiple phases to this. And, you know, a little bit as we go through.
And
So-
what's the timing as you guys go forward?
Haven't gotten there yet because that is, they're gonna, when they come back with those recommendations, when we look at the budget that we're working with, I think then that group will then try to come up with some timelines, on when they want to present a bond. I'm assuming that's what we're gonna do. Again, nothing has been solidified yet because that is part of the committee's, charter is to come up with those timelines, come up with the recommendation. Do they want to do a bond? Do they want to do a levy? Do they want to do multi-phases? Is it just one? How much to ask? All that stuff. So they're still in that setting up phase, but we're very, very close, I think, to coming up with some recommendations. I'm sure probably within the next 30 days or so, there'll be more for the board, which I think brings us back to a progress discussion from those involved in Wenahan stuff. And they're looking at a date of October 1st or October 3rd. Which is a Tuesday and a Thursday. Director Pickens had asked for, he preferred the October 1st if there was no objections. I didn't have any objections to that date. I don't know if anyone else has an objection to Tuesday, October 1st. Give you some time to look through your calendars if you need to, or
Yeah, either date looked fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
that works for me.
that works for you. Okay. So then I guess our recommendation would to the group would be October 1st. If that's amenable to them, then we'll consider October 1st our meeting date. Any other questions on the long range?
No, I
plan?
just say, coming up with a long range plan in phases, and hopefully you're going out 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
You're closer on the
uh,
end of that.
Yeah, well, I hesitant to talk about my former school district, but they have a referendum and building plan that went on for 20, 30 years into the future. And of course, every 5 years or so, it moved down the road even further. And they have essentially remodeled the high school, the middle school, total renovation of 3 elementary schools, and are in the process right now of replacing 2 elementary schools that are about 3 miles apart. And all of that was part of a multi-phased plan that included expenses and how much it's going to cost, but the need to have these replaced. So, you know, I'm encouraged. I know we have some older buildings that are high on the priority. We have some more recent buildings. More recent. We haven't built a lot, but we have more recent buildings that in 10, 20 years are going to be they're going to be old, so to
Yes.
speak, already. And I encourage the district to come up with a plan that anticipates aging and getting older and replacing on a sensible schedule, that this is coming and we're going to continue this round so that 50 years from now, we're not looking at the decrepit old middle school that needs to be torn down and replaced because we haven't done that yet. You know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road, all our buildings are going to get older. So I encourage what the committee is doing, or the groups.
Just technically, you're right. Yeah, it is a committee.
Yeah.
You know, we got the long range facilities
And I
committee.
think that's good. And so looking forward to your recommendations, so the board can act on it and we can get on with this and get the public behind us. And we gonna have to have some voter approval down the road. And I think, you know, that committee is gonna make a good case for why it needs to be done, I think.
Yes, and we were looking at, all kinds of data, the group was looking at demographic data. One of the interesting things I will share with the board, I don't know if I shared it already, is that when we were looking at new people arriving to SQUIM as, for enrollment, it didn't make a significant dent into that. So that was one of the disheartening things that came about. It's like, oh, we get tons of people coming in, that'll help. Well, not a whole lot because of our demographics being not a whole lot of school age children and stuff like that. But I will share, one of the things that we've talked about in there and a lot about not just the facilities themselves and what they can handle and, not having enough outlets and just the practical needs. There's also the perception with some realtors that we spoke with that said when people are coming here to look at homes, they've heard something, oh, that's your school.
Mhm.
And that's something I don't think that helps us with bringing families out here, when their immediate look is just doesn't look new.
Curb appeal.
Yeah, the curb appeal isn't quite there.
Is
And-
lacking.
And granted, we've done the best we can, and we think, like Herman Brothers with our wood chips and stuff like that, doing the best we can with what we've got. It's been wonderful to have the community help us with that. But I think it like, you said, it is something that we need to plan and get better at knowing our timetable schedule and not just waiting for something to break or rate, or like we're right now in crisis zone saying, okay, we got to do something quickly. We want to be able to proactively do that. And I think there will be some maintenance schedules inside of any bond or whatever that they propose to the board. Anything else on that?
Could I add a couple things?
Sure.
Okay, great. I'm having Tracy right now pull up the Long Range Facilities Planning Group site. So I'd like everybody to know that the Long Range Facilities Planning Group updates this site. You go to departments on our website and pull down to facilities and maintenance, and you can find this Long Range Facilities Planning Group page. This landing page can keep you up to date if you're out there and interested in what the group is talking about. You'll see each of our meetings is listed there with the content and an agenda of what we've reviewed. And what's really important for us is that there is transparency in this lead up, because it is going to be a big decision, not just for our long range facilities group. It's going to be a big decision for our community to support going forward what it is that the recommendation comes along to suggest. I will say this, the Long Range Facilities Planning Group has gone through so many exercises to evaluate what is critically important, to understand and educate themselves about how funding works for school construction, what barriers there are to school districts receiving state funds in order to build schools, and how you can best set your district up so that you can access. Now, accessing funds for school construction is related significantly to how old a building is. So we are looking closely at our buildings' ages. And I know so many people think of Gray Wolf Elementary and the middle school as being new schools, but their age is coming right along as well. So you can see that Tracy has up the schedule for the Long Range Facilities Planning Group. That's the trajectory that the group is on, and they're making great progress. And I thank all of the members of that group once again. If you're out there in the community, take a look at this page, do a deep dive so you can see what we've been learning about.
Anything else? All right, I think that is the end. If there's nothing else, we can consider the meeting adjourned. Oh, wait, hold on.
You set the record.
Oh, I did. I. Okay.